just because something is illegal doesn't mean it's bad, And I think most people know that.
Yeah.
And vice versa. Like, there are plenty of things that are illegal that you'd be like, well, should that be illegal? And there are plenty of things that aren't illegal where it's like, that guy should be in prison. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And I think it has to create some kind of confusion. I mean, I find it confusing when
Mm.
when the law doesn't line up with when the law is what you're basing your morality off of, because that's the written doctrine, that's what's enforced. There's not a separate moral standard that's enforced from some spiritual sense. It's just the law. And there's no shame, so there's no societal pressure either, and it's just the law. And then you get to the point where people confuse the law for being right and wrong, which is, on its surface, doesn't sound bad, but really the law is written to be general so that people with morals outside of the law, judges, can adjudicate on cases. But if your only understanding is the law, then the nuance that goes into deeming whether something is right or wrong, or deeming whether a punishment is too severe or not, it gets lost, because you're supposed to be battling these two things. You know what I mean? The law and morality are they're not on opposite sides, but they do compete in a way that ideally leaves the individuals in a place that benefits everyone.
Yeah. I mean, morality, I think, in the context of this conversation, would occupy the highest truth that we're trying to approximate. And one of the mechanisms that we do to get closer to that reality would be the law. And it's necessarily too little too late. Just like a guilt-based society compared to another solution, which would be a shame-based society, I would say that law fits more neatly into the category of guilt. I mean, when we convict somebody, we say they're guilty of that crime. Whereas a shame-based culture is trying to prevent that from the start. And that's a really nuanced thing to try to tell somebody. It's not just don't kill somebody, because it's really easy to say. But the problem arises when that's not enough. And what do you do about that? And in a shame-based culture, you might tell a story. You might say, well, the reason you can't kill somebody is because they're just like you, and that's not fair. And that's a very nascent, juvenile way to start that conversation. But it is an example of a shame-based approach. It's actually kind of a fusion of the two, because I said the word fair. And that's more of a guilt-based approach, because that's the society I was raised in. This is very natural for me. I am a lot more attuned to faith and religion now over the last 5 or 6 years than I was raised in a very, this is science and this is the way things are and this is what's right and wrong and fair, and just follow the rules and you'll do great. And at some point I found God, and that's been invaded by these stories of, okay, but here's why. Because I had the physics of how the world worked, but I didn't have the metaphysics of why it works that way. And I think that's the function in this morality being the story we're trying to approximate our reality to. The law gets us there from one direction, and faith, that's a loaded minimization of a huge thing we're talking about. It gets you there from the other direction, right? We could say law, society, the force mechanism of other people in your village or tribe, right? Whereas there's a completely external pressure coming from the other direction of your faith, your religion, where you fit into the world and eschatology in the world beyond, that's coming from a power that's even higher than your peers or judges. I mean, it's it's beyond all of that. It's, it's God or the universe, whatever you subscribe to. And I think we're both of those sides. I think it's healthy to be in balance with both of them, because they're both looking at, let's say, the same mountain from two different perspectives. I've personally experienced something on that journey of the past 5 or 6 years, right? That maybe this is what caused the journey, or maybe it was a fruit of that journey. Not sure which, but I believe that if you get to know somebody so well that you know everything about them, and I mean everything. Essentially, they're your best friend, right? You know everything they've done, every reason they did it, every misstep in their lives, and all of the context that vindicates that. Because, they messed up, but I get it. Because if it was me, I would have done the exact same thing. I think once you get to know somebody that well, you kind of can't help but be best friends with them, or love them in that filio brotherly love at the very least. Because once you know their story that intimately, you've just participated in the thing that the best TV show you ever saw made you do with the main character, who, by the way, is an anti-hero and deplorable, but you'll like him anyway because you get him. And that happens every day with the people around you. It's a little scary to admit that, but I think once you get to know somebody that well, even if they were a complete stranger a month prior, nothing special has to happen to your relationship for this phenomenon to take place. If you get to know them that well, they are going to be a very profound person in your life, and you will not be able to help but love them in some real way, just as a result of getting to know their story. It's kind of unsettling, honestly, if you think about it. Right?
No, I mean, it's the thing that is difficult about, I think, the law, like passing judgment on someone. And that's why judges are supposed to be impartial, because if you get to know someone, you can't really get to know someone and condemn them at the same time, I feel. Unless they're completely different than you, unless there's some block where you can't empathize with them, maybe they're a psychopath or something, I don't know, or maybe you're just been raised so differently for so long. But no, I mean, what you said is very profound, and I think that in a sense the law is, morality is what's right and wrong, right? The law is almost, but that's always extremely nuanced and has to take in the entire context of everything ever. And the law is really just, these are the things that we don't know about. Please don't do them so we don't have to answer that question, right? Please don't do heroin because we don't know if that's right or wrong, or if we should punish you or help you. Please don't, murder someone who assaulted you because we might have to give you the death penalty. Like, that's the point of the law. It's to prevent
these
people
are
from
the
making...
thing.
Go ahead.
These are the things as a society we are very uncomfortable with. So don't you dare confront us with them. We're not ready to go there yet. We haven't figured them out. We don't know where that fits in our story as a culture. We know that we don't like them. And if it's bad enough, it's kind of your fault if you bring it to our attention. Okay? Fair? Can we all agree to that? That's kind of the place that law takes. Religion, those it's a loaded thing, but the things that are coming from the other direction that are, let's just generalize them and say that they're more shame-based than guilt-based. Those are the things more so that we are certain about. And there is overlap. Murder, right? That fits very neatly in both camps. And for two different reasons, we're very capable of saying there are exact instances where murder is wrong, period. But there's also instances where we're really uncomfortable with the question. So just don't make us answer it, okay?
We don't have to go into examples, but I mean, we're both soldiers, literally trained to kill people for the right reasons,
killers,
culturally, right?
For the right reasons. How insane is that?